Why adrenal fatigue particularly slaps, that's quite a strong word, slaps sensitive people. So sensitive people tend to have a hyperactive sympathetic nervous system. That's what we associate with our fight and flight response. Okay, we're alert, we're ready for action, we're on the lookout, and we try very hard to avoid confrontation. Okay, why do we do that? Because confrontation hurts. That's why we feel it as a sensitive person. We feel it as a physical sensation, mostly in the solar plexus. So it's not that we're frightened. It's much more of it's almost a physical pain for some sensitive individuals. So that hyper-alert sympathetic nervous system makes, for instance, our gut tetchy. Okay, why? Because it's responsible for large intestinal contractions during times of stress. So if you've got a tetchy gut and you think, oh, okay, yes, I do have that, it is really quite something that is usual for a sensitive person. Okay, so that tetchy gut with the large intestinal contractions during times of stress, what is that called? Well, it's called IBS. Okay, so that hyper-alert nervous system adds up to adrenal fatigue. So the adrenals normally produce cortisol to do things like regulate blood pressure, your immune system, and the body's response to stress. So what is cortisol? It is a hormone that the body produces in order for us to manage ourselves during times of stress. So when our cortisol levels are out of balance, it then disrupts our body's ability as far as adrenaline is concerned. So sensitive systems are usually flooded with cortisol, okay, which is the stress hormone preparing us to utilize our body and utilize how we disappear off from something, how we solve an issue. So sensitive systems are usually flooded with cortisol. So why is that? It's because our hyperalert nervous system to stimuli means that the parasympathetic, which is you have the sympathetic nervous system which goes woof, and we have the parasympathetic that goes so our hyperalert nervous system to stimuli means that the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part that's supposed to go stalls, and it stalls to the extent it finds it difficult to kick in to calm things down. So our system is going full pelt, so to speak, and it never really finds itself able to just go to reset itself. Okay, so this messes up our regulation system quite dramatically. So cortisol, for instance, is responsible for the regulation of the body's sodium levels. So if you are a sensitive who is really high on the salt cravings, now you have a strong idea as to why. Okay, so that is why with adrenal fatigue you have salt cravings, and that regulation, as that cortisol regulation, is strained. Okay, so if cortisol levels aren't regulated by the adrenals, you can then which is what adrenal fatigue is, which is when they're tired and they can't manage those cortisol levels. So if cortisol levels aren't regulated by the adrenals, you can then end up with an excess. Okay, so excess cortisol, for instance, impacts the uptake of serotonin. So serotonin is the happy chemical in the brain that makes us jolly, makes us happy, makes us feel that the day is great, kind of thing. And so when our body is flooded with too much of it, it impacts that. So it makes it difficult for us to utilize it. And then what happens is you then also have an overproduction of insulin by the pancreas, because the adrenals are again finding it hard to regulate the body. So that's why you then find yourself putting on weight around the middle, finding it difficult to feel bouncy about things in life, and feeling that your sensitivity is again heightened. So in short, what does it mean? It means we haven't enough serotonin, which is the happy chemical going around, which then doesn't convert to melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. So we then find it difficult to sleep, or there is a distinct sleep disturbance. So you'll find that maybe you can just go, oh, so exhausted, I need to go to sleep, but you don't stay asleep for the period of time that you should do, or you feel you should do. So it becomes disturbed. So you may wake up early and then find it very difficult to go back to sleep again. You also find that your insulin is messed up, and so the body can't regulate it. The adrenals are too tired to regulate the stress hormone, the cortisol levels, all of that. And so the adrenals are going, can't work properly. So our insulin becomes messed up. So when that kind of goes out of sync, it goes out of balance, we then crave sugar and we crave carbohydrates. So this messes with our hormone levels, as adrenaline and cortisol levels are completely all over the place, which impacts then our immunity, our energy levels, and our blood sugar. Okay, so that impacts how you feel that you can recover from things, or your immunity as far. This is why a lot of sensitives have an increase in allergies, your energy levels, which is why you feel exhausted, and then trying to get out of that exhaustion, and your body's trying to regulate your insulin levels, finding that tricky. So you then become really attracted to sugars, and so it finds it hard to then just even off on the blood sugar levels. Okay, and then on top of that, our super alert nervous system means that the gut is stressed. Okay, so hence if you have IBS, you now know what the cause is. So with all of that, you think, oh, how do we solve it?